Hey class, it's Mr. Woodbury, and this is a short video to help you with problem 4 on project 2. In this case, we have 3 people, and we're told only one of them tells the truth. That means the other 2 are lying. Also, we're told that one person is the thief. So the strategy that I laid out in the project is to go through the scenarios where each person is the one who's telling the truth, the other 2 are liars, and look for contradictions. And the things that we have to make sure of is that we end up with a case where only one person is the thief and there's no contradictions to that. So in the first case where Alice is telling the truth, that means that Bob is lying, and that means that Chris is lying. And that means that their statements are false. So we need to take the complement of those, the reverse of those statements. So Bob said that Chris is the thief, and he's lying. So what we do know is that Chris is not the thief. And if Chris is lying, Chris said, I am not the thief, that means that he is the thief. So the 3 true statements now are from Alice, she's not the thief, Bob, Chris is not the thief, and Chris is not the thief. I'm sorry, Chris is the thief. We get a little bit of a contradiction here. Because Bob says Chris is the thief, and Chris says Bob says Chris is not the thief, and Chris says that he is the thief. And so those 2 things can't both be true at the same time. What that tells me is that this scenario where Alice is the one that's telling the truth can't be true. Now let's take a look at the other 2 scenarios, starting with Bob is telling the truth. So that means that Alice is lying and Chris is lying. So Alice says she's not the thief, but we know that that's a lie. So that means that she is the thief, is what her statement is. Bob's statement is okay, right? Because he's supposedly telling the truth that Chris is the thief. And Chris says, I'm not the thief, but that's a lie. So he's saying he is the thief. What you need to do is look at these 3 sentences, these 3 statements, and figure out, are there any contradictions? Well, one thing to keep in mind is that there's only one thief. And if we have statements suggesting that 2 different people are the thieves, then this cannot be true. All right, moving to the last of the 3 possibilities, where Chris is the one telling the truth. That means that Alice is lying and Bob is lying. Alice says she's not the thief. She's lying, so that means that she is the thief. Bob says that Chris is the thief, but because he's lying, the true statement is that Chris is not the thief, and Chris is also saying that he's not the thief. So does this point to one person being the thief? Are there any contradictions? Those are the things you've got to think through. I've already told you that Alice is not the one telling the truth. You've got to figure out whether Bob is telling the truth, and we can figure out the thief from there, or is Chris telling the truth, and we can figure out the thief from there. All right. If you have any questions, you know what to do.